Side Perspectives, giofvcks, and I want to talk about holidays with narcissistic, toxic, dysfunctional, emotionally unavailable, manipulative families. Holidays can become very difficult as you get older. For one, in general, things are not the same, obviously. And a lot of the people that used to be around are no longer around. For a lot of us have lost entire families, particularly in the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Not to mention, just over the years, people pass away. Things happen, unfortunately. But in particular, when you have toxic families, oh my goodness, holidays can be very, very difficult. First of all, in my experience, in my personal experience, this might be a little story time. I feel like our summer holidays, where we would invite extended family members, key words here, extended family members during the summer holidays would be invited. And I truly believe, looking back, that is the only reason why summer holidays were much more joyful and what you would think as a stereotypical family. Oh yes, it's 75, 85 degrees, they're grilling, people are dancing, having fun, drinking, lots of drinking. And looking back at my family, it's like, wow, the alcoholism only exacerbates the diabetes and other health issues that my family has gravely suffered from, not just because of the pandemic, but even before, losing family members to diabetes, people dying from things that are highly preventable, but because of social issues, health issues, mental health issues, lack of resources, lack of knowledge, just various things. Again, when I talk about these things, okay, when I talk about these things, I don't want to come off like I'm just sitting up here bashing my family or bashing folks, right? Because at the end of the day, we are products of our environment. However, that red flag, baby, ding, ding. Accountability has to come into place. And that's where I'm standing in. I'm holding myself accountable because I don't want to go down that path. I don't want to continue that. I don't want that to continue I want to break the generational curse, right? Break that toxic cycle. So anyways, holidays with toxic people, toxic family. I'm actually in the kitchen loading up the dishwasher, and then I'm going to also wash some of these, but I got to go and get some more dish detergent. So I'm going to load what I can into the dishwasher. So anyways, oh my god. So anyways, what comes to me is just looking at when we had extended family members, so you can see me, when we had extended family members coming to the summer holidays, it wasn't as bad. It was always a lot of labor because we were always expected to show up and perform. Looking back, and even now, I just feel like we always had to. The movie Get Out? I think that's why I related so much to Jordan Peele's movies, because it's like, that's how it is living here. Like, literally, we were always made to perform. So, like, doing all of the shopping, going grocery shopping. My mom would grill everything, right? Like, she would just be, okay, I gotta get here and grill, whatever. And then we would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these holiday summer get-togethers. Things that, there are some positive moments where I miss that because so many of my family members are dead. And things are not the same. And I miss that, right? There's some positives, right? So when I'm in therapy, I'm able to talk this through. There's a lot of positives that I'm able to still recollect, right? Because I don't want people to think when I get on here and I talk about this that everything was horrible, everything was bad. Because that's not what I'm saying. But I'm also not sitting up here making it seem like we were just some, because it was a lot going on. It was very complex. And I feel like that's how abuse is in general, is that's what causes the cognitive dissonance. It's because there are good moments. And the good moments is what keeps us sticking around and under this brain fog. Okay? But then you start realizing the good moments are far and few in between. And there's a lot of freaking bad moments where it's just like, what the hell? Like, this is a lot of tragic shit to occur to one person. Now think about everybody else in that family also having this shit happen to them. Think about it. So we were always made to perform, we had to basically show that we were good kids. Because again, image is everything when you're dealing with narcissistic, toxic parents, and families. Like, everything is a show. So we were like made to be on our best behavior. Mother was like Betty Crocker all of a sudden. Granny was Betty Crocker. And don't get me wrong, they can cook. They've always, we're talking about Arkansas, Mississippi, down south family. Like, that's why we grill everything. If you haven't seen me on my personal social media, basically every Wednesday I grill. Like, because I that's my background. I grew up, all right, I grill. Marinating the steaks, marinating the ribs, marinating the hot dogs and the bratwurst and the chicken breast. Oh my gosh. Oh man. The chicken kebabs, the potatoes, and my granny makes, and this is what I mean by, when I talk about this, I want people to understand. People have good qualities and people have bad qualities. I'm not saying this to justify toxic behavior, because at the end of the day, as you can see, you have to take accountability. But what I'm saying is, I know that there's good in them despite the shit that I went through, and I'm trying to work through that because I'm tired of holding on to hate, anger, and pain 24/7. Because that is killing me, right? And it's killing a lot of us. It's fucking killing us. And it's stressing us out. And then we're having all of this other stuff going on. And it's just like, after a while, I personally am tired of holding on to hate and anger. And then, like, I have a horrible, anger issue, right? So, like, I talk about this a few times, but I've graduated anger management twice. And that's what, and then, like, so I recognize that for me, but then but I also realize that is a hereditary trait passed down through the family. And I realize, like, I want to break that cycle because I don't want to be violent. I don't want to be overly aggressive and going towards, because I grew up with that, right? I grew up with people yelling, fussing, fighting, people, like I said, getting their asses beat, like, I seen some shit. I witnessed some shit. I've been through some shit, right? And again, when you see me on social media, just like everybody else, when you see people out here and about, you would never know what any of us have endured. And I'm not saying this to talk shit or to boast myself, but I'm here to say most of you would never be able to walk a day in my shoes. And I know that. But I'm not saying that to be like, I'm better than you, but I'm just saying that People have a lot of pain, sorrow, and shit that they have gone through, went through, currently going through. So it's like, damn, can we try to treat each other with some dignity and respect? Because you never know what's going on. You really never know. But anyways, back to the gist of the video. This is going to be a long one. So, but with the performance, then we were always taking pictures, right? Because pictures, we trying to cast the memory, remember the memory, capture it so we can look back. But then you realize how everything is such an act, because while we doing all of this, yeah, there were some good moments. Don't get me wrong. I miss my family. I miss my cousins and my uncles and my great uncles and my great aunts. My papa coming up with the Tupperware, because he was so serious about Tupperware. He had Tupperware for everything. And I remember that. We used to buy boatloads of Tupperware and plastic plates and forks and everything because we wanted everybody to take home food. And Granny, we all was kind of stingy with the Reynolds wrap. She was so we was like, no, everybody get, and like everybody would come over. And the summer ones were really fun. I can actually be real about those. Those were fun, despite the fact that we always had to cook, clean, and go all the way out. Like, again, image was very important. And I feel like a lot of people can kind of relate to this. Like, we had to look like we were this Stepford family, if you will, even though that was not the real scenario. And I know a lot of people can relate to this growing up in these types of households. But for what it was, the summer ones were fun. I remember calling up all my family members because that was my responsibility. I would call up everybody. Hey, Uncle Henry. Hey, Aunt Barbara. Hey, I would go down to everybody. We having a cookout. Here's the time slots. And everybody would ask, do we need to bring anything? And that's what I miss about that, right? Family. And everybody, you knew what each family member was going to be bringing. Whether it was the greens, the macaroni and cheese, liquor, ice, whatever. Everybody brought stuff and everybody could cook. So I remember that, right? And then we would coordinate transportation. Because again, I grew up with my grandparents. My grandparents were my parents, essentially. So I grew up always with baby boomers and Gen X, and so we always had older people in the family, and we, I had people that were even older than baby boomers, people that were a part of the silent generation, right? Because my granny comes from a family of 12, so she had brothers and sisters that were born in the 30s. So they, we all grew up with them. So, and I would be babysat by them and all of this. So we would coordinate. Again, we always had to work, and always felt like we had to coordinate and basically take control of everybody's life. And like Granny is and I realized that about her, again, very possessive, very controlling, and everything, and everybody has to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ha, ha. I mean, like you in military, like everything is very meticulous and planned out, and like you had to play your role. Let's put it like that. A lot of us can relate to this, okay? Now, you see how I'm able to name like the positives of the summer holidays when extended family, like I said, keywords. Summer holidays when extended family members came. But Lord, when it was the winter, fall, and it wasn't extended family members coming, and it was just the immediate. So like a lot of our Christmases would be immediate. Thanksgivings were kind of a mixture. And then every now and then on Christmas, we would have like our Christmas, and then everybody else would come over. Because like and then we used to have all the cousins spend the night and stuff like that. We've done stuff like that. But when we used to just have just us, child, First of all, again, abusers like to abuse with behind closed doors, because again, everyone has their own images. Again, a lot of us, people know what we doing. You know, you put your best foot forward when you're out in public and other people can see you and judge you. Abusers do the same thing. Again, everything looks great on the outside. Gotta keep the image, right? But behind closed doors, man, so many Christmases. This is why I don't like holidays, okay? So many Christmases would be completely ruined because of the lying, essentially, and then also the yelling that would lead to fussing and fighting and name calling and whole out fights. Like, I can name so many Christmases and Thanksgiving where it ended with people leaving mad, angry. Like, it's just always so bad. Like, people are just like cussing each other out, being name called, and then just like blatant lying. As a child, mind you, I was a child. Okay, I was a child, well into like teenage, and then when I got my first job at 16, and then I would turn 17 that same year, 2009. I basically took over holidays with the sense that I was going to make sure that people got gifts and they got what they wanted. Because my idea was, okay, I will be able to make sure that the family has a good holiday. So in my mind, there's no arguing, there's no fussing, there's no fighting, there's no fallouts. And mind you, this is what I witnessed. Now just think about what my mom and uncle had to witness on their own terms. Right? And then think about what my grandmother and Papa had to witness. Again, this is generational. So think about when we talk about systemic oppression, this is why I do these videos, right? 2. Racism, white supremacy, classism, mental health, lack of resources, lack of health care, lack of empathy, lack of support, oppression, suffering, pain. And then think about how each generation. So that's why I was saying in another video, in comparison, now granted, abuse is abuse, suffering is suffering. I get it. But also in comparison to what my grandmother and grandfather went through as children, I have a walk in the park. Even though I'm clearly suffering. But in comparison, right? So what I'm trying to do is, I want to break this cycle. I don't want kids growing up in narcissistic, toxic households. I don't want kids growing up where they have to put on a show and not be authentic and be themselves. I don't want kids growing up getting cussed out, belittled, seeing their mothers be belittled and berated and disrespected, seeing their grandmother be treated badly. I don't want folks to go through that. Seeing their uncles, seeing people that they care about. Again, a lot of this starts at home. People learn how to behave at home. Now, clearly, when we leave the house, you are going to also have learning and potential influences everywhere, at the school, with the kids you hang out, the TV you watch, the show you watch on YouTube, the music you listen to, the video games you play. All of this shit has the potential and does influence people and is a teacher of sort. Okay, because we are products of our environment. You feel me? You understand, you recognize, you comprende. I'm just saying. So it's like, so what I'm saying is the holidays can be very toxic. And you can really lose what the true meaning of the holiday or the true value of being around family, friends, or people that you care about and they care about you, And also I realized it was always about spending money. Like, growing up in my household, like I told you all, I'm very upfront and honest. I grew up in a black middle class household. And that was, again, everything was about show, you know? It's like, yeah, look at us. In the meantime, look at us. Anyways, long video. Let me finish doing this. I'm out.